wrestling in Division I wrestling programs. So he's going to take your questions. Make sure you stay on mute unless we call on you. I can unmute you. But stay on mute otherwise, so we're not hearing background, then we can just hear Trey, okay? People keep getting on. We'll give it a few more minutes here because we got people still logging on. Coach, you got something for Trey first, then we'll get started. Got anything, Coach Sean, you want to start with the first question? Are you frozen? Coach Sean's frozen, I think. Trey, how you been?
Good.
Good. How's online classes? Because I'm sure that's what you're taking right now.
It's pretty different.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard, but.
When did you have to move off campus?
Well, the red shirts we got to go home for spring break. So I was home for spring break, and then I flew back, and then they canceled school. So I had to get some stuff from my dorm, and then I just flew back like a couple days later. I stayed with my roommate. He lives in Virginia, so.
You were headed back after spring break, got there, and then basically turned around and had to come home.
Yeah, like 3 days later.
Who's the coach there? Head coach.
Garland.
So are the Polsons still there?
Yeah, we have there are 2 assistants, but we have 3 Polsons. We have Trent, Trevor, and Trent. There's so many of them. Trent, Trevor, and Travis. Yeah. So we have all of them.
Gotcha.
And then we have Earl Hall. He's from Florida, so he's like our resident athlete.
Right on. Let's see. Anybody got a question to start Trey off? Mikhail, looks like you got your hand up. Give me one, Mikhail. Unmute yourself.
How much state titles have you won?
I won 3 state titles in high school.
So Trey wrestled in Florida. Trey, tell us a little bit about Florida wrestling. This class. You guys have a class system. That's a little different than what these guys have up here.
Yeah, so Indiana only has 1 class, so that's why there's only 1 mat in the middle of the center, like for state finals. But Florida, there's 3 of them. So instead of having 1 mat, we have 3 mats. It's 1A, 2A, 3A. And school I went to was 2A.
You were in the middle group, right? The middle division?
Yeah.
So Trey wrestled at Brandon High School in Florida, which if you've ever seen a movie called The Streak, the documentary on Brandon, the high school he went to, because how long was The Streak, Trey? Do you know?
It was 34 years.
34
and
years.
300 or 400 something duels, victories in a row or something like that. Yeah,
so the high school Trey went to, they didn't lose a dual meet for, like he said, 34 years. So they did a documentary on that called The Streak. I think ESPN did it.
Yeah.
And that's where he's at. So if you ever get the chance to watch that, that's at the high school he went to. How many state champs? I mean, you guys have at Brandon, you have a ton of state champs every year, right? So on average.
Yeah. I mean, my freshman year, we had 4 state champs. My sophomore year, we had 3 state champs. My junior year, we had 2, and then my senior year, I was the only one.
Gotcha. So he wrestled for one of the premier high school programs in the country, and won 3 state titles there. So he's a 3-time state champion. So he wrestled with Asa and Ray and those guys because he was at Avon before he moved to Florida. So he knows all those guys too. So he knows Asa, that you guys know, and he trained with Asa. He used to kick the crap out of Asa in practice, made Asa cry all the time. I'll tell Asa about that. But when Trey started, yeah, Asa used to cry every practice, didn't he, Trey?
Yeah. And me and Asa used to get beat up by like Ty and Brock every day. So like kind of just came back.
Yeah. Brock, who you guys talked to last Monday, he used to beat up on Trey, and then Trey beat up on Asa, and it just passed on down. Cheney got beat up by all of them, I think. Somebody give me a question. Who's got one? Come on. Cheney, go ahead.
Okay. How far will they recruit? How far does Virginia recruit from? Like, does it matter?
No, I'm sure it doesn't matter. I mean, they're in Virginia, I'm in Florida, so it's like, I think it's like 900 miles. I'm like 900 miles from them, so I mean, as long as you put yourself out there, I'm sure they're going to look wherever you are.
Yeah.
So,
All right, that's it.
Trey, when you tell me a little bit about getting recruited, tell me about that process. Where else did you look? You looked at Virginia Tech, I know. Where else did you look at?
So I was really kind of like focused. I wanted to go to Tech at first, just because like I had two of like my best friends. They went there that went to the same high school as me. I went to Duke, and and then I had like American University I was looking at, Edinburgh. Just like, I mean, they're not like huge schools, but like, I mean, I wasn't just focused on wrestling necessarily. I mean, I wanted obviously good education before just wrestling. The wrestling was kind of just like an extra like point for me. But like, I'm happy where I'm at. I'm glad I chose UVA. The coaches, teammates, they're all like my family now. After just 1 year, it's pretty crazy how big of an impact like just 1 year of college wrestling can kind of put on you. So.
What was the main reason you chose Virginia? I mean, was there one thing, two things that really, besides the educational, besides all that you said, this is why I'm going here and this is it?
I'm a lighter guy. So like Garland, he was an NCAA runner-up at 25. And then we obviously had Jack Mueller, Louis Hayes. So like even when Jack was like a freshman, like I still was like, I want to like, I kind of looked up to him. I looked up to like him and George DiCamillo. And like, I remember like on my official visit, I was like talking to Garland and he was like, I can see you being the next George DiCamillo. And like having a college coach like say that to you, it's like, it's pretty big. So like, I only took 2 official visits. The rest were unofficial. So I took my official to Rutgers after UVA. So I went to UVA, and then the next weekend I went to Rutgers. And I mean, Rutgers had Suriano in them, but like what I chose down between those two was I felt more at home at UVA. Like I spent like 2 or 3 days with the guys at both schools, and like I felt like my personality and like kind of like I just fit in better with them. And I knew like if I was training with like Jack, I was training with Garland and like Louis, then like I knew like they're gonna push me to be like a better person like on and off the mat.
Awesome. All right, Sean Nolan, looks like you got a hand up. Give me one.
Where is state held in Florida?
State is held in Orlando. It's called Silver Spurs Arena. It's kind of like I don't really know what they hold there. Honestly, I think they hold bull riding there. Yeah.
Indoor rodeo place, huh?
Yeah.
So how many kids in each weight qualify in each? So you're in a 32-man bracket there?
Not 16.
So 16-man bracket, just like our state tournament, and then.
Yeah. So yeah, we have districts, regions, and states. So you place top 4 districts, you go to regions, and then there's 16 regions, and then there's 16 districts, and then it goes down to 4 regions, and then top 4 from regions go to states. So there's 4 regions. So
the regions essentially would be what we have as semi-state then, because the top 4.
Yeah.
Gotcha. How many times did you win districts and region?
I won districts 3 times, and I won regions 3 times. Yeah, 3 times.
Okay, the year you got, what'd you get, 3rd or 2nd? The year you did win?
I lost my sophomore year in the finals.
In the finals.
Yeah.
Okay. Right on. All right, Anthony Zaransky, I saw you had a hand up. Go ahead, bud.
Did you have any like setbacks during college and high school?
Yeah. High school was kind of up and down roller coaster for me. Yeah, I won 3 I won 3 state titles, but freshman year I just moved to Florida from Indiana, so no one really knew who I was. It was kind of like freshman year was like I had to prove myself to like the whole state. And then sophomore year, I started having trouble with my left knee around the middle of the season, so I was out for like 2 or 3 weeks, and I was wearing a brace. And like I went to the doctor, I saw they thought I had dislocated my patella, which is my kneecap, my sophomore year. And so I went to the doctor for that, nothing really. So I just kept wrestling with that. And then junior year, I still had knee trouble again. It just got worse. So I went to the doctor right after season of my junior year, and I found out that I completely tore my meniscus. So I had surgery like I think 3 weeks after state. So that was they repaired it. So I was out for 6 months. And then I came back my senior year, and in the district finals, I was coming up off a stand-up, and he kind of like went to trip me back, and I ended up tearing my right knee meniscus completely. So I couldn't walk like at all for regions or states my senior year. So then again, I had a big brace on. I had surgery after my senior year. So setbacks for having bad knees. I had 2 knee surgeries. It's probably my biggest ones.
So when kind of to follow up on what Anthony asked you, when you had, because I talked to you and your dad, well, I talked to your dad, I guess, a little more than you. During your senior year, when you tore your meniscus and you can barely walk, how would you say you were able to stay confident going into state and still believe you can win when you can barely walk at the same time?
I just believed in myself, honestly. Like, I believed in what my coaches and what my parents, and like I believed everything, and I was like, I trained to like do this. Like, even at my worst, I can still like win. So, and just everyone around me, my family, like they had confidence in me. So like I wasn't too stressed. I mean, I beat like, the top 4 kids in my weight already. So I wasn't really stressed. And like I was in high school, I was never really training to just be the best in the state. I was kind of training to be, I was training to wrestle with college guys already. So I was kind of already pushing myself to be on the next level. So like I kind of just trusted myself, except my semifinals match my senior year, it got really bad. I pinned the kid like in like a minute or something like that, and I like stood up and I went to put pressure. So like before that I could kind of somewhat walk, but after that like I couldn't walk at all. Like I crawled off the mat in my semifinals match. And then the finals we had this run out. It was like the first year they were doing this run out thing. I went and ran out, and I had to like hop on one leg all the way down to the far mat. It was bad, but
Well, it kind of gives your opponent a telltale sign that you got a bad leg there. That probably didn't help you. So
yeah.
Kendall Moe, I saw your hand up. Go ahead.
What is one of the best advice someone has given to you?
Best wrestling advice, Trey. What is it?
Something, honestly, Ryan and my dad both told me when I was younger. When I was in like middle school and like intermediate school, I was just, I want to win ISW state, like, and all that. But then, like, I remember I was like running on the treadmill for something, and it was like after practice, like everyone left. It was just like me and my brother, my dad, and Ryan, and they were like telling me like, I saw this thing, and it was like, high school doesn't matter. They're like, middle school and stuff doesn't matter. Like high school is when it really kicks in, because high school is like, that's what's gonna like get you scholarships, and like that's gonna bring you like to the next level. And then once you get past college, you need to then you focus on college. College is a different like league. You need to like, I don't know, I just always kind of felt like that was like the biggest thing to me. Don't train like to beat the people that you're currently wrestling. Try to beat the people like at the next level. So if you're in like elementary school, you want to start trying to beat those kids in middle school. Middle school, you're going to start training to beat high schoolers. The high schoolers want to try to beat college guys. So that's probably like the biggest thing that impacted me the most.
Well, it's funny you said that because Brock said that exact same thing last week. He said that, you know, I was always training one level above. So if I was in high school, I was wanting to wrestle college guys. And he said now that he's training in college, his goal is to train with like world level guys and guys at the world team trials and things like that. So it's funny that you both have that same concept. Carter, go ahead.
What is it like in a day of like practice? Like, what do you do throughout practice?
Give us a day in the life, Trey. What's a day at college wrestling like?
So I wake up and we have practice at 7:30 in the morning. And then practice ends about 9:15. And then I have, depending on what day it is, I usually have class right after that. I have 2 or 3 classes a day. And then at 4 o'clock, we have lift. So lift lasts about an hour. And then depending on what day it is, I may have another class after that. And then we have like mandatory study hall, mandatory like tutoring we have to go to. So yeah, that's about it.
So you guys, to kind of follow up on that, you work on actual wrestling practice, probably 2 hours a day, and then lifting, strength training, stuff like that, another hour a day.
Yeah.
So in that college practice, how much of it is technique? Because we asked Brock this last week, and it was interesting that he was talking about play wrestling and sparring. How much of your practice is technique? How much of it is live? And how much of it is you just kind of going through drilling, play wrestling, moving around, stuff like that?
We warm up play wrestling. So like usually our very first thing we do is usually we play a game to warm up. We usually play like handball is our warm up, and then coach tells us to get our partners. So we get our partners. We kind of play wrestle for like, we kind of just play wrestle. Like I take a shot, he kind of defends. Like we kind of just move around in our own positions that we need to work on. And then after that, he kind of goes through technique. Like before season, it was a lot like he would see us wrestle and then he would like, all right, this is one thing that you need to work on. This is one thing you need to work on. But like during the season, when like the starters and all the non-redshirts, like we weren't really competing, but the starters were. He focused kind of like on them, but it wasn't like primarily on them. It was kind of like on what a broad thing that like everyone should be able to work on. But yeah, like he like watches our film and he like, so like usually after every weekend, like they would send out an email and it was like every single person. He would write like a paragraph on like what they need to work on, what they did good, like some things that they need to improve on. So we work on that. And then usually we do a match or two, or we do play wrestling again, or we do like a grind match. So the grind match is like a 20-minute go.
I bet those are fun. Timmy, you got a hand up. Go ahead.
What do you do to deal with the pressure when you're wrestling?
Pressure, honestly, like before my matches, I kind of just like, I'm in my own headspace. Like I kind of listen to like the music I like to listen to. I just do my typical thing, the same thing I did in high school. I mean, if you have something, don't break it. Like kind of stick with it. That's what I did. And like, I always like thought before whatever I did, like I always like remembered that like I'm here for a reason. Like I'm obviously here because people believed in me, and I obviously trained to do this.
So belief in your training would be probably the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And routine, because we were talking about routine the other day. So you listen to music. You're a pretty mellow guy in comparison to say Brock. Brock was always real amped up. You were always kind of mellow. You didn't really get too high, too low, one way or the other.
Yeah.
Is that just belief in your training, you think, or is it just,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's kind of like belief in my training, but like also like I don't like to get too amped up because when if I try to get myself too amped up, I start thinking about things that I could possibly do wrong. So like I kind of just like stay calm. I kind of think of the positives. I never try to think of like the negatives before that. I just focus on like what I do best.
Yeah, and that was something. It's funny because I don't know about you, Coach Sean, but I keep hearing the same things that he's saying. And the same thing Brock was talking about, not getting in a negative mind space and how if you have a negative thought. And
Coach, we might be all right at this because we've had a couple of recurring themes here. But Trey, I'm Coach Sean, man. I'm new to the scene here, but I got a couple questions for you. The first one would be, so we have a guy on here that took second at the state finals in high school this year. Outside of being hurt, what did you learn from that year where you won as a freshman, took second as a sophomore? What did you learn going into that last year, or your junior year then?
Honestly, something my dad told me never to do was kind of get too confident. So my freshman year, like I won and like I was like the guy to beat, and I felt like I was like on top of the world. I feel like my sophomore year, like I felt like I could have trained harder. So, and then my sophomore year, I lost, and I was like, maybe I should have focused more than what I did. I could have like, you never want to like finish a match and be like, I could have done better.
Right.
So
focus. One of the things you said earlier as well was you never really got stressed out about it. So outside of your pre-match routine, okay, and focusing on what you do, is there anything else that you would recommend to these kids as far as dealing with the stress of competing?
Just know that just because you lose a match, it's not the end of the world. When I was younger, like I lost one match and I'd be so upset with myself that like, say if I lost in the semis, like I would think like it's over, like I can't win. Why do I need to continue? Like just realize just because you lost one match, like one match doesn't define who you are. It doesn't define who you are as a wrestler. So like being able to lose and then come back, it's kind of like you have to reprove yourself. So
Love it. Last one that I'll do for now, Coach, is what is it like? What's the difference between high school and college wrestling? And after your first year, how would you say or let's say this. So I wrestled as well in college, but after my first year in the room, it took me 6 months to get my first takedown on Chris Fleeger, right? So you have someone like Jack Mueller in your room. How has that impacted your confidence, right? Both in a good way and, of course, in the negative way as well. And how are you dealing with it?
So it's kind of weird because in high school, like in my high school room, like I was like the top guy. Like I could kind of like deal my way around with everyone.
Yeah.
I got to my first college practice, and I remember like calling my dad, and I was like, "That's different. Like, it's way different."
Yeah.
Like the intensity, everything. Like I was like, yeah, I was a 3-time state champ in high school, but like then I get to my college room and like everyone is like a 2-3-time state champ.
Yeah.
It's like I'm just another guy now.
Good.
So being able to see like Jack and like Jay and like Louie, like all of them, like to see the way they train, it's like inspiring because like you're like, I want to train like them. So
did you ever call your dad like Coach Schmaltz did and say you weren't good enough to be there?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, go
I
ahead.
never like had a feeling like I wasn't good enough. It was more like I like called my dad like laughing. I think after like first couple practices, and I was like, you know, I thought I was good in high school, but I came here and I'm not that good.
So you mean to tell me that a 3-time high school state champ, you're just a normal guy now, right? It's just this is D1. This is how it goes. It's not a big deal when you wrestle another 4-timer, right?
No, it's not very surprising like to wrestle another like 2-3 time state champ. Like, oh, it's just like another day. So like it may just be me, but then you have like Jack, who was like Jack went to like Wyoming Seminary or Blair, and like he's like a 4-time like national prep champ, like top ranked in the nation, like and like I'm like I never did that. So
Who's got a hand up? Landon, go ahead.
Did you ever think about wrestling in the Olympics?
yeah, I thought about it. It's always, I mean, obviously it's like a dream. I mean, obviously like it would be so cool to wrestle in the Olympics and like make a world team. But like, I mean, I also have to look at like other stuff too. Like, say if that doesn't work out for me, like I still need to focus on my school. I still need to focus on everything else. So like right now, like obviously I'm training to be that good, but like I also need to like train to win the NCAAs, go to NCAAs, do all this stuff. But I mean, obviously it's a dream. So,
Mikhail, what do you got?
What is your favorite position to wrestle in?
You mean like top, bottom, neutral?
Yes.
neutral. I mean, neutral's my favorite, but like I remember, like Garland was like the thing I pointed out most was your top game, and like in high school I was really good on top and like everything, and then like I started wrestling college guys and like they're good on bottom. So like then my best position and my favorite position is probably still neutral.
Who else has got one? I don't see the hand. Julian, Jalen, I don't know which one of you it is, but I see a hand up.
So what would you be doing if your wrestling career ended?
I'd be going to school still. I mean, there's life outside of wrestling.
What's your major, Trey?
I'm undecided right now, but it's either going to be kinesiology or nursing. So, somewhere probably medical, kind of pre-health.
Awesome. All right, Cole, what do you got, man?
What was your favorite wrestling move?
Favorite wrestling move? Honestly, probably a single, just from my feet. That's probably what I was best at. It's kind of what I've stuck with, but honestly, I can't really say I have like an absolute favorite because like whenever I'm in like a match, I'm kind of just hitting on whatever I see that's open. It's not really like, oh, I'm going into the match, I'm gonna hit a single. It's like I gotta see where he steps, I gotta see how he's moving his feet. So
Who here has ever heard me say you're not allowed to throw a headlock when you're little? Yeah, well, ban headlocks. I want to tell you all why. Because when I met Trey, the only thing he had was a headlock, and we banned Trey from doing it. And then that was a realization that 4-year-olds can't do headlocks. Right. What else? Who else had a hand up? I saw a couple other ones. Carter, was that you? Go ahead, bud. Carter, you're still muted. I can't unmute you for some reason. Can you unmute yourself? There you go.
I forgot my question.
Oh, you forgot your question. All right. Well, think of it again. Who else? Come on. Somebody give me another question for Trey. Trayvon, Gavin, Isaac, somebody give me something. All right, Carter, you got it again. Go ahead.
Yeah. So what was your favorite wrestling experience that you've had through your career?
Nice.
Probably my favorite was honestly probably the state finals, just because it was like it's all set up. So like we have like the flashing lights, like the run out. We still have all that. I mean, I like going NHSCA nationals was pretty fun, just to see that there's like 60 something mats in like one gym, and like everybody's wrestling. It's pretty cool.
What? Which finals was the funnest? Was there one that, like, one of the three that you won that you were like, that one was better than the other, or were they all the same? Or
Uh, Probably my favorite one was probably my freshman year, just because like I knew like I always wanted to be like a high school state champ, and like I like beat the kid like I think like 3 or 4 weeks prior, and like I pinned him in like the finals of some tournament, and everyone was like saying like, oh, like he caught him and stuff like that. And I wrestled in the state finals, and I pinned him again. It's like kind of like bittersweet, and like yeah, it was pretty cool. But like my junior year was pretty fun. It was a decently high scoring match for me, so it's pretty fun.
Trayvon, what do you got, man?
Did you like to sit out or stand up?
Stand up. I gotta get to my feet as fast as I can.
Yeah. All right, Garrett, you're jumping up and down. Give me one. What is it?
Was there anybody on your team that didn't win state?
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that don't win state on my team. Some guys didn't even make it to state, so.
Did you guys win? You won a couple team titles, didn't you?
Yeah, I won 2 team state titles.
So he's on 2 state championships. You got what? 5 rings then?
Yeah, I have 5.
State championship rings, I guess. Anthony.
What was one of your favorite experiences with Coach Ryan?
Oh, jeez.
No, I was with Ryan for a long time. Honestly, I don't know. There's a lot of good ones, but probably one of the best ones was like my first couple practices with Ryan and Dustin. We were wrestling on a mat in his backyard underneath a tree, and that was probably like the most memorable thing that we've had. I mean, winning my first ISWA state title was pretty crazy, and then I won middle school state, which was pretty fun. Yeah, and then I won my first state title, and I came back over the summer, and I saw you for the first time. That was pretty fun. So.
Yeah. When Trey first started, guys, you got to remember this was like not even contenders wasn't even really a thing. It was just more of an idea that we were. He practiced with my nephew, and so we just started doing like it was more like private lessons, and like he said, it was under a tree because we didn't even have a garage set up to wrestle in at that point. I mean, he was the original guy. Sean, unmute yourself, Sean. It's not working. There you go.
Are you part of the reason why more people actually came to contenders?
I'll answer that. Absolutely. If it hadn't been for Trey and Ellie and Tice and those guys, there wouldn't be a contender. So if those guys hadn't, they were Pee-wee studs, and then people started coming. So it was, there wouldn't be a contenders without Trey. I can assure you that. Mikhail, what do you got?
Like before the state tournament, did you have to work in another tournament, and if you win 2 matches, you got to go in state?
Yeah, ours wasn't necessarily like win 2 matches because we have wrestlebacks. Indiana doesn't have wrestlebacks, which I still think is kind of odd. But yeah, so we just had to place top 4 at districts, place top 4 at regions, and then we get to go to state. So.
When you won, did you ever lose a match at district? So you said you won districts 3 times, and was it the year that you lost state that you didn't win districts, or was it? Did you?
No, I lost districts my senior year.
Sorry, you lost districts your senior year?
Yeah.
See, that's kind of crazy. So the last
in the middle of the match.
Did you end up beating that kid in the finals, or did you have to re-wrestle him?
Yeah, I beat him in the finals. I beat him in the finals at regions, and then I beat him in the finals at states.
Okay. So you beat him at regions, lost him at districts, and beat him at state.
No, I beat him. I lost him at districts, and then I beat him at region. Then I beat him at state.
Okay. All
yeah.
Right. Ryder, Froelich, go ahead.
So in college, do you do like certain moves every month, or do you work on what you need to work on?
Yeah, we kind of work on whatever like the coaches say we need to focus on. Like whatever he sees is like the biggest problems within the room. It's kind of up to the coaches, but we also always work on the stuff that we need to. So.
Gino, what do you got, buddy? Is your hand up? Go ahead.
What position do you like better, top, bottom, or neutral?
You already answered that. He said neutral, Gino. He's a.
Oh, I didn't hear it. Sorry.
All right. Cheney, go ahead.
You remember the time? You remember the time that you and Asa were in my dad's car at that one camp, and then Asa threw up all over her car? Not really a question, just a memory.
Yeah, I remember that.
We had to pull
was that
over.
a camp or was that a tournament?
No, that was a camp. We had to go coach at a camp, and then Miller ate Skittles, and you made him do wall stands, and then Skittles came out of his pocket.
I remember that because I remember Asa puking all the time in the car.
Oh yeah.
Asa would puke, and then Chris would puke, and then Ryan would puke, and then my dad would puke. It would just go down the line.
Yeah, I remember that. That was your last time, like before you moved to Florida, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But we did a camp at Switzerland County when I was running it, Coach, and I took a couple of these guys down to be, help me with the camp and be little, training partners for these guys down there, way down south. And Asa puked all over Trey's lap. I mean, all the way down. And then we were going to Tulsa one time on the way back, and Asa puked, and then Ray puked, and then Trey puked, and it just started.
Yeah, Tulsa. That was the turnaround I was talking about. Tulsa was. It was like in Ace's parking lot, like his driveway.
Ace's driveway, about 4 people threw up because one of them I think it was Asa threw up, and then that caused Ray to throw up, which caused Chris to throw up, which caused your dad to throw up. Oh, that was rough. About 5.
That sounds great.
Yeah, on the way to. Mikhail's got another one. What do you got, Mikhail?
Did you ever like conditioning? Like, did you ever cry through the conditioning?
I don't know if I cried. I'm pretty sure I did though.
I don't ever remember you weren't much of a crier unless you lost. Sometimes you'd cry then, but I don't remember you crying at practice a whole lot.
Yeah. I mean, practice is practice, so crying or being mad.
I don't remember you getting too worked up. I remember Asa getting worked up, but I don't remember you getting worked up. Kendall Mo, what do you got?
So in college and high school, is there like varsity and like regular wrestling? And do you guys have wrestle-offs if you do?
And wait, high school or college?
College on that one, Trey. How do they determine things in college?
We do. Well, he doesn't call them wrestle-offs. He calls them simulated matches. So we do. It's called simulation day. So usually it's only us versus another guy, but I didn't compete in them, and none of the red shirts did because we were all redshirting. So, but it's pretty official. All the coaches are the refs. We have to keep time. We have to keep track of riding time and all that stuff.
So you guys have. So what Trey did this year, guys, is, and when you're in college, just going to explain to you, some of you probably don't understand. It's called redshirting. You get 1 year. It's like a training year in college. And you can get into Olympic red shirts and medical, but in general, you get 1 extra year in college. So you get 4 freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, but everybody kind of gets 1 year where you get to practice and train, and they call it a red shirt. So Trey's freshman year this year, he was a red shirt, and so then next year he'll actually be a freshman. So this was his training year. So that's what when he's talking about being a red shirt. That's he wasn't actually able to compete for the team, right? How many matches did you get as a red shirt though?
I got 8. I got 8 or something like that. Yeah.
You get to compete in some open tournaments and stuff like that. Sean, did you have a match or a question? I mean.
Yeah. So what was your record this year?
Not good at all.
Oh, good. So I figured that was going to be the answer. So I wanted to ask you.
I didn't feel good saying it. I literally don't want to say it.
No, I've been there. I get it. So all the success that you had in high school, and then now, right? You've competed as a redshirt freshman. Like you said, your record wasn't the best. How have you been dealing with, what advice or how have you been dealing with losses, and how are you trying to improve on it?
Well, like obviously this was my learning year, and like just like I had surgery right after my senior year, so I hadn't been on the mat. My first time back on the mat was like the first practice at UVA. So that was my first time back since I had surgery. So obviously I was dealing with getting back to even normal competing on my own with my knee. But then on top of that, like I'm wrestling way better guys than when I was in high school. Like I never had like an off match in high school. Like I had some kids that were decent, and I had some kids that like weren't that good. Like I'm hitting hammer after hammer after hammer. So yeah.
Okay. So knowing that it's hammer after hammer after hammer, right? And obviously one thing I've learned during this call is that you're consistent, not too high, not too low. Knowing it's hammer after hammer, right? You obviously have to bounce back from this. So next year you won't be a red shirt, right? What are you doing this summer or even in a time like right now to prepare for next year?
I'm still training the best. So
Okay.
obviously I kind of put on my own little workout thing like I have at my house. So like I have some dumbbells, all that stuff. I lift in my backyard. I try to run as much as I can, stay in the best shape as I can. Obviously getting my knees to like best performance they had. So
Is there any position that you struggled with the most this year?
I didn't really struggle in any specific position. Honestly, it was more like I felt like I was off at every match I did.
Your timing, etc.
Yeah, just because I was so used to like the high school pace. I was so used to like being able to take all these guys down with ease, and then like I get to college and like it's a 3-minute first period. Like that one extra minute in the first period just kills you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just learn from it, improve on it. So
okay.
Timmy, what do you got?
What was one of the reasons you started wrestling?
Reason I started wrestling was honestly my dad didn't wrestle when he was a kid. And one day, like obviously I wanted to play sports, so I think I started off playing soccer. And then my dad saw like a newspaper ad or something that Ryan had. It was like he was trying to open his own wrestling club, and I was like, oh, I'll give wrestling a try. So I started with that, and I kind of bounced around from wrestling and football. So I did wrestling and football, and then I gave up football in like 6th grade and just really focused on just wrestling. So the newspaper ad started me.
Case Bridge, go ahead.
So if you're redshirt, does it like mean you have an extra year in college, or like you take that year off of like learning and stuff?
No, I'm still in college, so I still take all the classes. It's just like I'm just not competing like underneath the team name. I'm just considered unattached. So I'm still at school at UVA. It's just I'm not like underneath the team name.
So he's still training. He's still going to school. He's still practicing with the team. He still competes. It's kind of just a thing they do in college. You get a practice.
He doesn't wear a UVA singlet this year. He doesn't travel with the team, etc. But he's still practicing everything else.
Yeah.
Sean Nolan, did you have one? Go ahead. You're muted.
What position did you play in soccer?
I have no idea. I didn't even know there were positions, to be honest. I haven't played soccer in so long.
No, like did you play offense or defense?
He didn't play soccer since he was 4 years old.
I was probably offense. I couldn't think of being defense. I needed to shoot the ball.
Hayden Cochran.
Did you start wrestling?
When did you
What?
start wrestling? Is that what you asked?
Yeah. What age?
I started at, I was like 4.
You were 4. Yeah.
4. Yeah. Been wrestling for like 15 years. So. It's been-
Gunner, what do you got?
How old are you now?
So basically, what was the one reason you quit football?
It's too small.
Huh.
I was only like, I think when I quit, I was like 4'10", 90 pounds. And I was trying to play running back, so not the best thing to do.
Mikhail, what do you got?
Did Coach Ryan ever say that football's for sissies? To you?
Yeah, all the time. I remember when I was like, I would miss, I missed probably like 2 wrestling practices because of football. And he would ask me where I was at, and I was like, I had football practice. He's like, football's for sissies.
Football's for sissies. It's a standard thing, Mikhail. Just, Landon, what do you got?
Did you have any double jointed abilities that helped you when you wrestled?
I think I'm double jointed in my thumb, but that's about it. Also broke like both of my thumbs like 2 times or something like that.
Okay. Let's start to wrap this up a little bit. Tyson, did you get on? I think your brother. You on there, Tyson?
Yeah.
I got a question for you. So Tyson's Trey's brother. What's it like having a brother that's a 3-state champ and wrestling in college, and what's that like?
It's a lot of pressure on me. I feel like I have to prepare to the same ability that he did. So like my freshman year when I didn't place at state, I felt like I disappointed everyone. And then this year I did better and got 3rd. But I want to be up there with him and be equal to what he did.
Right. Yeah. Get that. You got 3rd this year as a sophomore at state, so sophomore in high school. So
yeah,
you'll get there. You'll get that state title. Who else besides Mikhail and those guys? Somebody else. Chaney, is this a question? Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, Tyson, when are you gonna come down to be a West Side wingman, or come up?
I don't think he's moving back to Indiana, bud.
He's at Brandon, boss. He's at Brandon.
I know, but he's still could be a West Side wingman.
Brandon might be above a West Side wingman. Yeah, you got to look at that.
Gunner, you got one more?
Oh no.
All right. I don't. Any of our older guys got something else you want to ask?
Jake's got one down there, Coach.
Jake, go ahead, man.
What was the best high school match you think you've ever wrestled?
Honestly, the ones I lost, probably the best ones. Just because I lost doesn't mean they were good matches. And obviously, losing sucks, but you learn from losing.
So kind of to piggyback off what Trey said, because I got to watch Trey grow up, guys. Trey was on a different path. I think even we talked about Brock. Brock didn't win a ISWA state title for a long time.
Use your body.
Who's unmuted?
What about your pressure?
Somebody's unmuted. So Trey, you won a Pee Wee state title, and he won a couple Bantams. Trey was probably maybe the best Bantam technique-wise I've ever seen. It, maybe him and Nate, to be honest. So he won a lot early. You won a lot early, and then you kind of had a drought, right, where you'd gotten second. You got second maybe as an intermediate midget. It used to be midget. That's how long you've been wrestling.
Yeah, I was pretty good as a young kid, and then I think I hit. It was 5th and 6th grade. It got real bad. I think I got second at every tournament I went to.
Yeah, so you hit like a spell. So kind of touch on. I guess what I'm getting at is, guys, some of you guys have had success early. You've won Bantam state titles. You won intermediate state titles. And then you did all that, Trey, and then you kind of had a spell where you didn't win those things. And then you got it back kind of in middle school where you won middle school state titles. So how did you mentally stay tough? Because I remember what we had to do with you, but there was a time when we were having a lot of just mental conversations, you and I, about sticking with it. It was going to be okay. That it wasn't the end of the world. Like, do you remember anything that stood out during that time? How you get through those times, kind of work beyond, early success that didn't necessarily pan out as you got in kind of through the middle of it, and then you got it back, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah. I mean, I won a decent amount of like Kiwi, BAM, intermediate, like schoolboy kind of state titles, like ISWA. And then 5th and 6th grade, I don't really know what happened, to be honest. It's just like, I kind of let my head kind of get to me. So like, even though I was so young, like I was still going through like the stuff like maybe wrestling isn't for me. So I think I kind of let myself get that kind of got to me. So then after that, then I hit in 6th grade, I think I got second middle school state. And I think that was kind of the real turning point for me. It's like I was getting second at all these places. Like, I don't want to lose anymore. So then 7th and 8th grade, I won the middle school state titles. And then like after that loss, I was like, I don't want to lose anymore.
I think when we were dealing with you, because like I said, you were one of the few, you and Ray, and you had so much early success. Like I don't remember. I think you losing to Travis Ford Melton at Indy Nationals might have been the only loss you had for 3 or 4 years. So you had so much success early that when it did, when you did get in 5th and you took 2nd for that first time, or you had some struggles at state, it really it was hard on you. I just remember it being like we had to really rein you back in and say, you're doing the right things. Everything's right. We're going to get back on track. I do remember that time. It was just interesting because then I remember you getting 2nd as the 6th grader, and then 7th and 8th grade you won, and we were kind of back on track. But I do remember. So just to parlay that into you guys, that gives you 2 examples, right? You had Brock, who had no success early, right? He really didn't win a state title till he was, even an ISWA state title till he was 7th or 8th grade. And then Trey, who won it all early, and then didn't, had a downtime during that. So it doesn't really matter. What I'm getting at is your early success isn't really a predictor necessarily of what's going to happen when you're a 7th, 8th freshman, sophomore, junior, right? So Trey's an example of a kid who did it both ways. Had the early success, kind of fell off track, got back on track. And Brock's an example of somebody who didn't have any early success and just kept kind of working. So it's just wanted to point out the difference in those 2 guys. So that take your early success. Raise your hand if you have a state title already. If you have one state ISWA, some ISWA state title already. Yeah, most of you have a hand up right now, and some of you do, some of you don't. Right? But at the end of the day, that's not a predictor. What's the main thing I can say about all these guys that we bring on, Asa, Brock, Trey, whoever, if we get Ty on here, I can tell you they all had one thing in common. They kept working at it. They kept coming to practice. They kept working really hard at it. So ISWA state titles, I guess what I'm getting at, is not necessarily a predictor of later on success or college wrestling or anything like that. So Coach Sean, you got anything you want to add, throw at Trey before we let him off here?
Actually, I want to throw something at Tyson. He mentioned earlier that he was trying to live up to Trey. Is there any advice that your coaches have given you or your brothers given you that's helped you live up to that?
Yeah, Trey, he surprised me at states this year, right before my 2nd match. And like him just being there watching me like boost my confidence. And like even before my quarters match, he like talked to me and told me what I needed to do. And even like after that match, it wasn't like a very good match. I beat him in overtime. He told me what I need to work on, and it helped me. And then I pushed it, and I got to the semis, and I came a little short.
Perfect. Thanks, guys, for coming out. It's always great to have these kids here, hear from you guys.
Yeah, Tyson, do you think that how do you think, I guess, watching Trey's success helped you? You already talked kind of about, trying to live up to that, and there's some pressure to it. But obviously, you have firsthand knowledge of somebody who's experienced it, like you were talking about. what's the number one thing you think Trey's helped you with during this process? Besides just, hey, do this, do that. Is there any mental part of it or anything like that he's helped you with?
Not really. He's like watching him work hard pushes me like to work hard and be like him. Like even in the practice room, he worked extremely hard. And like my freshman year and his senior year, like watching him on the mat when I was drilling and stuff, it made me want to push it harder.
So more of like leading by example, because I think that about Trey too. He's a quiet guy, so just he kind of led you by example.
Yeah, I always knew that he believed in me. Like even when he was up in Virginia, he would text me like before every tournament, tell me like I got this and stuff.
Well, Tyson, it might not be there yet. You might not feel like right now something that Trey's doing is necessarily bleeding over, and you're at a great program in Brandon. But I promise you that it will trickle down. Right? He's experiencing stuff at UVA that will transition to you, and you will certainly appreciate it in a couple of years when you start to go through the recruiting process and everything that's associated with it. It's an experience, and he's got a wealth of knowledge. So you're blessed in that sense.
All right, guys. We've kind of went an hour at it now, so I'm going to let Trey out of here. Trey, before I get off, thank you very much. Always a pleasure. Proud of you, as always. Great to see you guys. I don't get to see as much as I like being away from you. But you're one of the first. You're one of the reasons we're all on this Skype or this Zoom call. So thank you. Keep working hard. Does anybody else have anything they want to yell at Trey before I let off here that's important? Can we get him off here?
Yes.
All right, Mikhail, one more just for you.
Like before you wrestled a match, did you ever sleep before you wrestled a match?
No, I don't think I ever slept before I wrestled a match.
Give us to Mikhail, let me ask it in a better way. What was your so you're at a tournament, you have a first round match. What's the in between your first round and your second round match? Let's say you have a 45-minute hour break. What are you doing to prepare for the second match, I guess?
Usually refueling, get a little something to eat, something to drink. And then around when I know I'm gonna come up soon, get up, start moving a little bit more, get my legs, my arms ready for another match. So I don't think I'd sleep though.
You weren't sleeping. Taking too long on that. All right, guys. Well,
hey, Ryan.
Yes.
Hey, it's on Tyson's.
Hey, what's up, Danny? How are you?
Hey, I just wanted to tell everyone, especially you, that you guys are doing a great job with Contenders, man. It's blown up. So, all these kids that are on here, I remember when Trey was 4 and 5 and wrestling in your backyard with your brother, and there's only 5 of them or 2 of them at practice. Now there's 80 kids in a room. You guys have to believe in the process. What Ryan's teaching you is the right way. I mean, what we did is moving to Florida was a great thing for Trey. Did it hinder Tyson a little bit? Yes, because he missed those good practice partners. Just believe in the self. And I've learned a lot as a father of 2 wrestlers is that you can't be so hard on them. Because I was a very tough dad. Ryan can contest.
Oh yeah, he was definitely very tough. Came home from practice not crying.
I'm still tough on him, but now it's more of our conversations are more as friends and as a father and a son, just talking about things and things we can improve on. And my biggest thing with them now is more of working harder than the next guy and believing in yourself. Because, as a youth wrestler, high school wrestlers, sometimes you just get in that match and you just mentally quit. You just mentally shut down on yourself. And you can tell it. I mean, you can tell in a wrestler when they mentally quit. But, just want to congratulate you guys. You guys are doing an amazing job with the 2 contenders. And like I said, the kids, just believe in Ryan and what he's teaching you is the right thing to do. It's the correct method. Even when Trey does his privates with kids, I tell him to teach them the contender way. Count it down for them. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Kids learn it so much easier than just throwing 10 moves at them at once.
Oh,
and just one thing, I always told this to Trey when he was growing up, and I still tell it to Tyson. It doesn't a college coach doesn't recruit you on what you did as a youth wrestler, as an ISWA state champion. They don't really care. They just want to know what you did in high school. And grades are huge, huge.
Very.
I mean, Trey got turned down for a scholarship to a very prominent school as high academics because he had 1 C in 8th grade.
Yeah.
So you got if college wrestling, you know, D1, D2, D3, NAIA, whatever you want to achieve in your life, you got to have success in the classroom. That's a huge part of wrestling.
So on that note, like on what he's talking about, guys, just to parlay, your grades may or may not hamper you, but it's if you don't have good grades, I can assure you that there are places you cannot get into. So having good grades, you may still get a scholarship to go to college at somewhere, but you are going to limit yourself. Even if you're the best wrestler in the world, your grades can limit where you go. So keep that in mind that, you know, you can say, well, I'm going to be a 4-time state champion, this and that. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get to go where you want to go because your grades can absolutely hamper you. Like Trey lost out on a scholarship because of some, you know, one C. So there are places you can and can't go because of your grades. So don't limit yourself because of that. So Danny, real quick, one more question for you and then we'll let everybody out here.
All right.
There's parents listening, I'm sure, parents that'll listen back. Number one advice, you got a college wrestler in D1. You've gone through this now. We've been friends a long time. What's the number one thing, not necessarily that you would do different, but what's the number one advice you would give a parent of a kid that's, you know, 8, 10, 12 years old?
Let them be kids. That's the biggest thing. I mean, I don't want to say I let Trey and Tyson not have kid things and do kid things because they did a lot of stuff growing up. But like I said,
but we have like priorities. Like we weren't
right
out with our friends until like we did so much of this stuff. Like you kind of had to like, as a kid, like we had to like manage that. Like if we went with our friends later at night, like we had to do all of our stuff in the morning. So he still let us be kids, but like we had to do first.
Yeah, just make sure they have a great work ethic. You know, it's kind of like being a dad or a full-time job. You have to do set A, B, and C before you do D, you know, and I kind of mimic that method I talk to Chris Lee a lot, which Chris Lee is also the dad of Nick and Jolie, who are at Penn State. And he said the same thing. He's like, they could do what they wanted as kids, but if they had to go work out or get a run in, he made sure they did that first before they do anything. You know, and obviously Nick and Joe and Matt now are all at Penn State and they're all having successful. Well, Nick is. Joe really isn't wrestling too much yet, and same with Matt, but they're all successful wrestlers. But it's like I said, just let your kids be kids, you know. Yeah, they can cut weight. I mean, my opinion is like when I felt Trey was, I don't want to say too good for some of these Indiana tournaments, but when he got to that point, we were never really cutting for an ISWA tournament besides state. But if we were going to Tulsa Nationals or things like that, yeah, you want to be competitive. Right. So, you know, as a parent, you know, I think looking for the best competition you can get. But, I mean, letting your kids be kids is really a good thing, you know. I had to learn a lot, you know, and it took me, 15 years, you know, from the time Trey got into high school and now he's in college and Tyson's still in school. I still pushed him because I still want him to have a great work ethic. But I have to kind of drill myself back every now and then to take you know, so I'm not badgering it so much where they just don't want to live life or they just don't want to not fall in love with the sport anymore. You know, if you push them too hard into wrestling, they're eventually going to regret it and just say, I don't want to wrestle anymore.
You know, wrestling is one of those sports, Danny, and I think that it's always a delicate balance. And this is what I try to do with parents now more when I educate parents is you can't be a good wrestler and not work hard. Like there has to be that balance of, yeah, we're going to work hard and we're going to push you because we can't just let you do no hard work. And you got to love the sport at the same time. So it's got to be, there's that delicate line, I think, all the time with parents.
Yeah.
where we got to have that work ethic. We got to have priorities. We got to go to practice. We can't just, it can't always be rah fun, because wrestling's not that, but it can't be overboard the other way too. So
take that back, even when Trey won his first state title as a freshman, he won it on a Saturday. So we got home about 1:00 in the morning, and Sunday he took off, but he was back in the wrestling room on Monday.
Yeah.
I mean, his junior and senior year was a little bit different because he had surgery, and Tyson, he got third on a Saturday and was back in the room on Monday. Right. The grind never stops. You got to keep working hard, because just because you won a title or a place where you wanted a place or didn't do what you wanted to do doesn't mean the guy next to you wants what you have. So you always got to be trying to outwork that next person.
Absolutely. All right, guys, I've kept you long enough. Lane family, thank you very much. Love all of you guys. Thanks for being on.
Me too, man.
Guys, I'm going to unmute everybody. I want you guys to tell Trey thank you. We'll post up. Before I do that, though, a couple things moving forward this week. Listen up, okay? Tomorrow, Coach gave us a skater challenge, right, Coach? It's 61 minute sets of skaters. If you don't know what skaters are, I'm going to post a video. It's not going to be a lot of fun. So,
guys, it should be just as good as the pole squats. 60 straight sets, 1 minute each, skaters. Okay, you'll see the video, but it's going to be a good one.
And we've been falling down a little bit. Some of you have been consistent about being on here and doing your challenges. Some of you are starting to fall off and on. So make sure you're getting those challenges done, okay? We're putting them out there, and they're hard work, but we're only asking you for 2 challenges a week.
Hey, Ryan.
Yeah.
Hey, if they ever want a good challenge, we can always take them back to the Dirty 30 like we did at Cascade.
Oh, yeah.
I'll have to rethink it, but, I mean, obviously the kids will love it or hate it.
Yeah.
So, you guys take care.
Make Tyson do it. We'll get him going on it. So that is tomorrow. You're going to have a 1 minute challenge or 61 minute sets of skaters. Wednesday, Coach Matt will be back out. Wednesday workout, 3:00 on Wednesday. We're going to stay consistent on Wednesdays and Fridays. Friday, we'll give you another mindset. Yep. Okay. So tomorrow, the skater challenge. I'll post the video of that. Wednesday, we got a workout. And then Thursday, we'll have another challenge. Friday, we got mindset. Everybody following along, nod your head at me. Yeah. Make sure you're getting that stuff done. All right. Trey, again, thank you. Everybody tell Trey thank you before we log off here.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys. I'm going to end the meeting. Trey, thanks again. Everybody, I better see those challenges posted tomorrow.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Trey.